Well, you know, you wonderful, wonderful people. Today, after I had a chance yesterday to speak with you, and so many of you asked, how come you could not get a little bit of tape or a little bit of myself every day? Well, we get to that later because there were some not so good things that took place. And so we shall leave it at this for the moment. But at the same time, it made me think. It made me think a great deal about the state the planet and all of humanity is in. It breaks my heart to see the horrible amounts of racism, religious zealots, people who feel that they are better than the other, the lack of compassion. And when someone made some comment, my retort was, I have seen it all. What do you mean? Some of you may say. Well, I survived World War II. And not just survived it, I was there, and I was at that time called by many in the area where I was the little prophet. The tiny little prophet, they said. They should ask the little prophet. Nevertheless, I was taken from place to place and gave information on where the so-called enemy was coming from to either kill, arrest, or do more horrible things. Most of the time we hear all these stories from the movie makers about World War II. But very, very seldom do you hear it from the people that were the survivors. And when I see the news today, my heart goes out to all the people who are running for their lives, who are suffering in fear. And it doesn't matter whether they're red, yellow, purple, blue, green. It doesn't matter. Souls are souls, spirits are spirits. Religion, you say? Well, religion has nothing to do with it. In many, many places, it is the most troublesome thing that ever was taken, twisted, readjusted upon the planet. And then I hear about compassion. Sometimes the very ones that are supposedly to practice this compassion, they have none. Or they pretend. And they are the ones. And you know, many of you amongst you are aware of these that have this word compassion. And we can go back for the last 3,500 to 4,000 years, where all this creating of religions, and my religion is better than your religion, my God is a better God than your God. Of course they can't come to the state of understanding there is one creator, and he's not so close by either, even though your consciousness, when you come into this human body and walk upon the earth, is always linked and connected with the all-perfect, with the all-good Creator, the He, She energy that's awakened within each and every one. When I spoke to so many of the people who asked me, Why have I got so much respect for Zarathustra, for Zarathustra? Because he came to this planet. He was here upon the planet and he was taught in India by a very, very peaceful and kind, wonderful individual. He was taught in Egypt. He was taught by many the ways of how mankind existed. But most of all, he had the wisdom and the knowledge from the place where he came from, and wanted to pass that on to humanity. His wonderful, wonderful gifts he bestowed on many around him. The fear of dying he took. And today we look at these that are out there of places. And I had a visitor, and this visitor spoke to me very, very seriously about Buddhism. How Buddhism is spreading around the world very swiftly. And I spoke to him. I said, well, you know, so is the Muslim belief spreading around the planet. But then we have all the others that are still out there. Judaism. Well, how many blends of Christianity? 129 different blends of Christianity. One is this way, that way, and the other. And then this young, very young, beautiful young boy said to me, well, he says, but also amongst the Muslims, Your Holiness, there are many who believe this way and that way and that way and that one. I said, we know in Indonesia they are now having problems. Religion should never cause problems. If it is so good, it should not kill. It should not hurt or torture. It should be kind and compassionate, because that is what it is supposed to show humanity, the all-perfect, the all-divine does for all. And then there is this compassion. I lately went through a very, very, very difficult time. More difficult than I dare to elaborate on. And we noticed, even though all come to me for compassion and help, when I was in such dire condition, help was not to be found. And for me that was a great thing. As someone said, you are always there for everyone. Of course, I do as much as I possibly can to love you. But then I come to this place where I am asking you to open your hearts to one another, overcoming your different religions. I saw it all during World War II. I did see it. I tasted it. Matter of fact, I was in a house that the bomb dropped on top of the house. And it was not a good experience. Graciously Creator must have protected, because everyone, even though we were all dirty and scraped and whatever, came out of that basement alive. But I watched so many people being killed and tortured. I also had to say I lost all my family from my mother's side in World War II, and most of from my father's side also passed in the bombings and whatever, because they all decided to stay behind and be with the people. I call on you today to open your hearts, to learn to love, and in your heart of hearts close your eyes for a moment and think of those that are cold, wet, hungry, of those that struggle for survival. I'm asking you. You see, I never asked you myself ever for help. I never pleaded with you for help, because you always think that I must be very wealthy. Well, I do not live in a house that is owned by myself. I do not. And because of the so many confusions, I ask for your love and compassion for one another. And with that, until I meet you again, learn to love. Love yourself and love all animals and all of nature and those that are around you. Goodbye.